All right, guys, welcome to Inappropriate, Earl. I never thought I would have this man on my couch. He's someone I grew up hating because I'm a big LA Kings fan, and he would always kill the Kings and start little trouble on the ice in most games. And I remember seeing him in a preseason game at the Forum, and two guys stood out to me. It was him and this massive guy who I thought was Samoan, who cleaned up a lot of the messes that he started. But he was a little smaller than most of the players on the ice, but he was dominating. And although today's not a hockey broadcast, I'm beyond honored to have a future NHL Hall of Famer in my house just for a few minutes. Please welcome Theo Fleury.
Thank you, sir.
No, thank you. And I hope I didn't rub you the wrong way when I said I used to hate you. You were so good. And you would always kill the Kings and do it with a smile on your face, which infuriated me.
Absolutely. Well, there's a long line of Theo Fleury haters, so that'd be a long walk for you to get to the end of that line.
Right.
So, but it obviously meant that I was doing my job, and But I always loved coming to LA and playing against the Kings because
you did so well.
Yeah, I always got a lot of points, so it was good.
But this isn't today a hockey broadcast. I watched your documentary last night, and I cried throughout all of it. And in America, we don't really have a lot of high-profile sex abuse, children's abuse, other than Jerry Sandusky.
Right.
And so to have someone of your stature and hockey come out and tell your story it's just amazing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
And I think with Sandusky, I always thought, how is this guy on a fucking campus for 30 years? And I think in junior hockey, it's almost a hunting ground for pedophiles.
Yeah, but I think in any organization that caters to children, you're always gonna find 1, 2, 3 of these guys hanging out in these things. And did you know there were 600,000 Boy Scouts in the Boy Scouts of America that got abused?
I could imagine.
The Catholic Church, Spotlight, the movie was about, the Catholic Church. So sort of what I discovered is that, something that I thought was uncommon is actually the most common experience of most people, in the world and on the earth. So the documentary is really an opportunity for us to put it out there and let people know that you can talk about this stuff, and you have to talk about this stuff in order to sort of move forward in life. And I think a lot of the reason why people get stuck is we live in our trauma, and we live in our trauma for way too long because it has shame attached to it. And anything that has shame attached to it, that's what keeps it silent. And so, we're really proud of the documentary. It has a tremendous amount of hope and inspiration in it. And really at the end of the day, it's just people telling their stories for the very first time ever, sort of in the history of their life.
Yeah, like the one lady who at first didn't want to be on camera,
mm-hmm.
and then you could tell almost like it was like minute by minute, it was like, I can talk about this.
Yeah.
Because of someone like you,
right,
who's, a huge celebrity, and especially in Canada, you're a god in Canada.
Right.
And is it like, it's the sentencing that's infuriating,
isn't it?
For, I don't want to say his name, but
so when you were watching the movie, you started to feel angry.
Yeah.
Eh?
It's like, it was just like 2 years, 3 years. This guy's ruined lives forever.
Yeah.
Or at least scarred them forever.
Yeah, exactly. Jerry Sandusky's never getting out of prison, right? He's probably going to die in prison. And to me, that's okay.
Oh, I
right?
hope. I hope he gets effed up in prison. And I feel, wow, I feel weird saying that, but I wouldn't mind if he did, to be honest with you. And like one of the most infuriating things about the documentary to me was when you were talking to, I think he was the prime minister or one of
the members of parliament. Yeah.
And he's just like, you could see the pain in your eyes talking about this. And he's like, hey, man, I've stood next to these guys. I know how you feel. And it's like, you don't know anything.
Exactly.
You don't know how this.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't wish it on anyone, but let's see if this guy's kid was molested.
Of course. Or himself, right? You know, I think they would probably answer the question differently. But, you know, and that's why, you know, the documentary at the end of the day started out as being a crusade for justice. And about halfway through the movie, it shifted to healing and being there for people and allowing people to, you know, to speak to us and tell us their stories. And I think at the end of the day, most people who've had this experience, I think they just want to hear, I believe you. I believe this happened to you. And, you know, so there's lots of really great messages in the, you know, in the documentary. And I'm happy that, you know, it brought out some emotion in you watching the film, because that's what we wanted to accomplish. We wanted to accomplish what each survivor of childhood trauma faces: anger, sadness, you know, happiness, all that stuff. And we wanted the viewer to go through, you know, that full range of mixed emotions.
I mean, I don't cry very much, just because being a comic, it's kind of
of course
jaded my my personality. But it was just like so heartfelt, and you know, you could see the pain in everyone's eyes. Like in the one scene where you guys were in the steam room, and the older gentleman was, and the way he was talking, like, I want to fucking kill the guy. Like, you know, so it's, I mean, and this is probably going to be worded the wrong way, knowing me, but in a case like Graham James and Sandusky, like, what makes them so good, for lack of a better word, at hiding what they do?
We haven't really pinpointed our finger on what type of traumatic experience in their own childhood makes them into these monsters. Some, I guess some are born that way. Others have witnessed extreme violence in their home as children, which causes people to do that. But we haven't really sort of pinpointed how these guys get to be, you know, the predators that they are. But I guarantee you that it has something to do with their own experience in childhood themselves, right? And but they're smart guys. They're master manipulators. And, you know, like on the documentary, you know, there's pedophiles, and then there's Jerry Sandusky, who took it to the next level and, you know, created a charity for kids that have nobody. And Jerry, showers them with love and all these things. And, you know, and once they accept all of these things that Jerry's given to them, then that's when the molestation starts.
And in your case, you know, he basically said, hey, I'll get you to the NHL kid, which is like, to a young teenager in Canada, that's like, you know, telling me, hey, Earl, I'll get you on the Tonight Show.
Yeah, exactly.
I would. Yeah. I mean, that was his.
Yeah.
And I'm sure to many other kids.
Yeah, of course.
And like the scary thing is, there's next September will be hundreds of teenagers trying out in junior camps.
Yeah.
I mean, do you think the NHL or the junior leagues, the WHL, the CHL, OHL, is there some kind of like system or protocol they can not? You're never going to weed them all out, but
we're obviously a lot more aware of it from, you know, first Sheldon coming forward, then myself coming forward, and, you know, in the Spotlight movies of the world, and, you know, Sleepers, you know, so there's definitely a lot of awareness out there, but I'd like to see a little bit more action on the part of first justice and, you know, an extreme vetting process, you know, when people apply to work with children.
Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable that, you know, and now with online stuff,
Isn't that an unbelievable stat? There's 750,000 pedophiles online right now as we're speaking.
No, I mean, just in my own neighborhood, they have the sex offenders database, and I just went on once out of curiosity. There's 30 on these 2 blocks.
It's unbelievable.
I'm not one of them.
Yeah, of course.
But like, it's just, man, you want to see these guys locked up and never, like Sandusky and like, especially hockey is such a dream to Canadians.
Yeah.
Like it's like a religion up there.
It is.
Now, was it, I know when Derek Bugard played in Minnesota, I would say that's like the American version of Calgary.
Yeah.
Slightly smaller.
Yeah.
And I know when he went to New York, there was a small time farm kid unleashed on basically Vegas of the East Coast. Would it have been easier to come out in Calgary, where you maybe a better support system than say New York, where you're just unleashed to the wildest?
No, I don't think it would have mattered where I was. At the time, the story would have been the same.
Right.
There was countless people that reached out to me and said, do you want some help? Do you need some help? And I just wasn't ready for it. Right. And what I know now, working in the field for as long as I have, is that you can't help somebody that doesn't want help.
Right.
And the only thing you can do is take care of yourself and not be an enabler, right? Not enable somebody to ruin their lives. I don't know if you've ever seen that show Intervention.
Yeah.
But that's basically what they try to do, is they try to convince the family to stop enabling the addict. And then once everybody sort of sticks to that contract and the addict has nowhere to go, he hits rock bottom a lot quicker than having all of these enablers around him. So, and that means you need to have healthy boundaries as well. You need to set boundaries with loved ones that are, struggling with whatever it is. And, but it's not easy because you have a lot of guilt, and you have a lot of shame attached to all of that. So it's hard to sort of let go of your kid and let him crash and burn on his own. It's a very difficult thing to do, but, eventually what happens is that, everybody just gets pissed off and says, that's enough. Like, I can't take anymore. I can't be on your roller coaster ride anymore.
And I know, what was your tipping point? Like, what was like, I know you had mentioned spending $3 million at the casinos, and then in order to go to sleep at night, you'd have to basically get blackout drunk. Yeah. Was there a moment, one particular one, where you're like, I can't do this anymore?
I think I had several of those moments, every once in a while I'd get a glimpse of some sort of clarity,
right.
Which was few and far between. But I knew at some point that I was going to die, if I kept on the same path, and probably end up a really bitter, lonely old guy, and finally made the decision. What was it? September 18th of 2005 was the last time I had a drink or a drug. And
that's awesome.
And, it was really sort of, finding spirituality is what really sort of helped it stick, putting my faith in something else other than myself, really,
right. Well, you've done an amazing job. And where can people go to support the cause?
You can go to victorwalkdoc.com. You can go to victorwalk.com, Theo Fleury 14.com, and then we're on social media too. Theo Fleury 14 on Twitter and Instagram, Facebook, all those. We're on every one of those social media outlets. So,
and they can buy on the documentary website, like hats and shirts, and or can they?
We don't have any merch yet.
Oh, okay. You guys better get on. I mean, I'm Jewish. I should help you out with that end. But listen, Mr. Fleury, I know you. First of all, thank you for doing this.
My
I know
pleasure.
you could have done hundreds of other more known people's podcasts. And
well, who you remind me of? One of my favorite comedians of all time,
Who?
Stephen Wright.
I don't copy him, but he's an amazing person, great comic. But thank you so much for doing this.
My pleasure.
You're going to inspire a lot of people to come out and share their stories. And I've never said this to a guy I just met, but I love you, man. And
thank you.
I really thank you again. And
appreciate you having me on.
Guys, support Theo Fleury. YouTube some of his old fight tapes to realize what I was talking about. And thank you guys very much.